One of the incredible things of this week's Parsha, that's Yadua, it's the first Balaturim that he brings from the Gemara, that says, Va'ata Tetzaveh lo hisker Moshe b'zeh seder. I don't know if everybody knows that. In this week's Parsha, the name of Moshe Rabbeinu is not mentioned. Masha'ein kain b'chol ha'chumash. And the rest of the Torah, Misha she'noilad Moshe, ein seder shelo huzker ba. There is no time where Moshe Rabbeinu is not in the Parsha, except for this week's Parsha, where he's not mentioned. Now, obviously not in Bereshis, because he wasn't born. But from the time that Moshe Rabbeinu was born, and he says, the reason is because the Gemara says, Mecheni na mesifracha, sher kasafta. Moshe Rabbeinu said, erase me. The kilalas chacham, afilu al tanai ba niskayim bizeh. Right? The Gemara says, the kilalas chacham, the curse of a chacham, even if it's on condition. And that was when Moshe Rabbeinu said, Mecheni na mesifracha, by the egel. So he said the words, erase my name from the Chumash, from the Torah. So even if it didn't end up happening, but the fact that he said those words, so it happened in this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha, V'atat Tetzaveh B'nei Yisrael, the entire Parsha does not have Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, what's interesting is that I think the Gra says this, is that the amount of psukim in this week's Parsha are 101. Kuf Aleph psukim, 101. And the Gra says if you take the letters of Moshe Rabbeinu's name that's in secret, which is Mem, you spell it out, Mem, Shin, Hey. Mem, Shin, Hey is gematria. If you do Mem, is Mem and Mem, right? The way you spell Mem. Mem, Mum, is 40. Shin is Yud Nun. Shin, Yud Nun. Yud Nun is 60. 60 and 40 is how much? 100. And Hey is Hey Aleph, is 1. Right, again, we're only adding up the hidden letters of Moshe Rabbeinu's name. So you have Mem is Mem, Shin is Shin, Yud Nun is 50, 60, 10 and Nun is 60, and then Aleph, Hey, Aleph is 101. I think it's the Vilna Gaon's Pshat. So he says, so even though Moshe Rabbeinu's name is not in this week's Parsha, but it's 101 psukim, which is a remez to Moshe Rabbeinu. That even though he's not in the Torah clearly, but he's hidden in the Torah, in the hidden letters of Mem, Shin, Hey. So I'll tell you the thought that I had about that. And this is a nachas for Usher Weinberger's father is here. Usher Weinberg. His father is here. So I just want to give just a compliment to your son, right? Because the Gemara says when you see someone, as I said when I met you earlier today, when you see a person who has good midos and who smiles and has a beautiful personality and who's beloved by all, and he actually has to hear him Friday night sing from the mountains will crumble and the hillsides will fade. You have no idea what I'm talking about, right? Usher's father has no idea what I'm talking about. But when we hear Usher sing, that it's a very beautiful sight to see and to hear. And just that you know, is that when, as the Gemara says, he's listening to the shir.
Yeah, he said he wants his son to listen to the
Menachem, okay, get to start him. I like that. Menachem Dubin's son. Okay, I'm continuing. Okay, very good. Okay, gewaldig. I like that. That's a tati. That says something about the tati. That he wants his son to already hear Torah. So I was saying, very good. It fits very good. Because it says when you see a child, when you see a person, the Gemara says, who's sweet and who's nice and who has good midos, and you see him a certain way. So you say, Ashrei Aviv. You say, Ashrei Hoirav. You say, you know what? Baruch Hashem. He was taught, midos, and the way you act towards people at the end of the day is very, very, sorry, I don't know if you can hold this, Suzanne, is very connected to your parents, to the depth of your mother and your father, your midas. Outside in the world is not necessarily going to teach you, it's not going to teach you necessarily. It's not always going to teach you how to act towards other people. But when a person grows up in a home, you grow up in a home and you see your father and you see your mother and you see your home. You see the way your home is. So it's a very strong statement for how your midas are and how you act towards other people. So one thing I could say from meeting your father, Asher, I could say that Baruch Hashem, you definitely raised a son who's sweet, who's humble, who's beloved by all, and he's a Kiddush Hashem. So you should have continued nachas. Very sweet boy. In Mitzvah Hashem, you'll hear him sing. You'll hear him sing as well. You'll hear him sing the song of the one of the things that I want to talk about today is this pshat about Moshe Rabbeinu being silent. It's Moshe Rabbeinu's yard site on Friday, I think, Zayin Adar, and it's Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who we know is the one who can Yoshua, but Moshe Rabbeinu real is the leader Keneged Amalek, which is what we've been speaking about this week, is the milchama against Amalek. And they talk about the fact that Amalek is Amal Koif. Amal Koif means that you go ahead and you are being Amal like a monkey. What does that mean, Amal Koif? We spoke a little bit about this yesterday. The Koif, what's a monkey known to do? A monkey is known to be a copycat. Monkey see, monkey do. What does that mean? What it means is that there is no pnimius. There is nothing going on inside of me. It's all my actions on the outside. It's not the quality, as the Gemara says, Rachmana liba boy. What does Hashem want? Hashem wants my heart. Hashem wants my insides. Hashem wants me to go ahead and get in touch with myself, with who I am, to understand myself, to love myself. Everything we see outside, we know, is a projection of what we have inside. Amalek is the pshat Amal Koif, which means what? Monkey see, monkey do. If I see something, then I copy it. It's not the pshat that there's a real connection between me and Hashem. It's not the pshat that there's a real connection between me and another Jew. That's how Amalek talks. Amalek wants us to feel that everything that we're doing is bechitzonius. Everything that we're doing is all external things. Everything is external. There's nothing pnimi going on. I think they said that once, that there was a person sitting by in a place that he was like a millstone. He had this grinder, and he was grinding every day from the morning to the night. That was his job. And then he found out afterwards that on the other side of the wall there was nothing there. It says he went crazy. He went crazy after that. Why did he go crazy? Because the pshat is one of the most frustrating things that we all experience is when I'm doing and I'm working and I'm being amal. I'm being amal, which means I'm toiling and I'm doing things, and it's all a maisa koif ba'alma. It's all like a monkey. It says that what Amalek used to do, they used to cut the arla and zoyrik, the mila, the Arla from the Mila and throw it klape mala. Right? What does that mean? They would be mezalzel. You think your tefillah works? You think your Torah accomplishes something? You think your krechts inside? You think what I do inside matters? Especially in our generation, there's much more of a thought of how people look at me, social media, what that guy's doing, what this one's doing. How do I look in the eyes of this person? How I dress. Of course, it's important how a person dresses. It's important. Your dress is very important. How you present yourself. But ultimately, what happens is we get lost. Amalek wants us to feel like a koif ba'alma, like I'm just a monkey see, monkey do. I'm just copying. I'm a copycat. I'm a copycat of my older brother. I'm a copycat of my chevra. I'm a copycat of my father, of my mother, whoever it might be. I'm a copycat. I'm a koif. Hashem doesn't really connect. That's what happens in connection with each other. In connection with each other. When a person doesn't realize that my pnimius, my internals, my thoughts, my machshavas, the way I think inside, the way I feel inside, and I've said this over many times, love for someone doesn't have to be communicated to that person. The love for someone can be that love that you have within your heart. Within your heart, you can love. You could fill yourself up of love for someone inside your heart. Could you, Menachem, as you're here, holding your two-day-old holy new neshama who came into this world, could you describe, could somebody describe the love, the message you left me this morning or last night, whenever, about, right, that feeling? You can't describe it. Why? What's the pshat? Because it's so pnimi. It's so deep. It's so deep. Our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our relationship to the Torah, our relationship, the love that we have for every Jew. And I want to say this because I spoke Friday night about this. When I say that it's so pashut that we love every Jew, it's so pashut. What it means is, of course, we have to strengthen our love for every Jew. Of course, we have to strengthen that. We have to strengthen it even more. We have to strengthen our love for the people who are closest to us. We have to try as best as we can to strengthen that love that we have for our father, for our mother, for our children, for our son. Take the love, Menachem, that you have for your son right now. Take that love, and it's the greatest gift in the world. Why? Because that love that you have for your child, which is indescribable, until you have a child, it's indescribable. Think of how much Hashem, it says that every Yid, every Jew is a ben yachid, is an only child to Hashem. An only child. Hashem looks at you, and he says, and he looks at you in his love that Hashem has for each and every one of us. Rachmana li babai. What Hashem wants is the opposite of Amalek. Amalek wants us to think that our actions are nothing. Amalek wants us to say, my feelings don't count. It's ironic. We want to feel close to Hashem, so then we don't picture that I'm close to Hashem if I'm learning Torah. You say, Bereshis bara Elokim, Eis HaShamayim, right? You go ahead and you say a pasuk, you just got close to Hashem. You go ahead, you come into the Beis Medrash, you're in your shul, you're close to Hashem. You're close to Hashem. Whether you feel it or you don't feel it, you're close to Hashem. And then when a person has bad feelings, and he has shame, and he has difficult feelings of the Aveirus that he's done, do you know how chashuv that is to Hashem? You know how beautiful that is to Hashem? When a person feels, I'm far from you, Hashem. I want to be close to you, Hashem. I love this Jew. I wish I could love this Jew. I had this, was it today? I think I just had it today because I drove somewhere and I think it might have been right, I forgot where it was. I drove somewhere and there was this Yid walking and it was like, am I letting him go? Meaning, am I going to give him room? He was a guy, he looked like he was collecting money. He looked a certain way that I could be a little bit judgmental. And as I came close and he was walking, I let him go before me, and he walked like he walked. And I, inside myself, and I looked at him and I said, I love you. I love you. I love you. I'll probably never see him again. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he was doing. But I know that deep down, I love him. And to access that, Amalek is Amal Koif, which means a monkey. It means everything you do is all bechitzoni. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything what you do. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. You go ahead and you daven. It doesn't, right? Like we spoke yesterday. It doesn't go anywhere. My ritzoinus, my depth that I want to change, that I want to grow, that doesn't really mean anything. It's all your actions that you do. It's how people look at you. It's what society puts you at. But deep down within myself, do you know what hit me also today? Something very interesting. It's the same exact thing. Let's say you want to be a tzaddik. Let's say someone says, I want to be a tzaddik. 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 Let's say someone says, I want to be a tzaddik. What does that mean? I want to be close to Hashem. What's that tzaddik in your mind? I think the answer is, right now, be a tzaddik. What does a tzaddik do right now? What does a tzaddik do inside? What does a tzaddik do inside? Inside of himself, what does a tzaddik do? A tzaddik can make a list of what a tzaddik does. What does a tzaddik do? When he tries to daven, when he davens, he wants to try and have kavanah. When he wants to try and learn Torah, he doesn't want to waste time. He wants to love every Jew. He wants to act a certain way. He wants to feel a certain way. Deep down inside, if I can tap into the tzaddik inside of me, if I could tap into being a newborn baby, imagine if you could tap in to being a pure, new, fresh person. That's why I say it. I mean, I say it too much, so it's my fault that I said to that. That what?
You have to teach us how to do it. And that experience that you had today, when you saw that person, you said, it's beautiful to hear that.
Right.
Okay? So teach us how to do it.
Okay.
How do we get it?
Okay, thank you, Rabbi Lazarus. You make me feel so good, Rabbi Lazarus. Rabbi Lazarus makes me feel so good. I'll tell you one of the things that I think that Rabbi Lazarus is just setting me up to say this. I think it's really getting in touch with you and your pneumius, not about anybody else. It's about inside of you deciding that this is how I want to look at things. I want to be close to Hashem. Hashem, I love you. I want to be close to you. Hashem, I don't understand you. I want to understand you. We spoke about that yesterday. This person next to me, Ari's very easy for me to love. I want to love him more. Your child, I want more love. I want to love my child more. I want to love my father more. I want to love my mother more. I want to love you, Hashem, more. I want to love the Torah more. I want to be closer to the Torah. It's not just the words that we say. It's trying to tap in to what is stopping me from being the tzaddik that I want to be. What's stopping me from being the Moshe Rabbeinu? And here it is. This is, I think, where it's connected to the Parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu is not in the Parsha. He's not loud in the Parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu is Zion Adar. Moshe Rabbeinu is not loud, but it says, Spashtusha, the Moshe Rabbeinu is Bechol Dar Vadar, and in every Jew. Each and every one of us has a connection to Har Sinai. Each and every one of us has Elokai Neshama Shenasata Bi Tahoirehi. Tap into that. You know when you tap into that? Hayoim. Today. When you see that person, when you see that Jew, when you see that person and you're able to somehow tap in to yourself right now. A lot of times people think being a tzaddik means that you have to have a consistent month or months or a year to be. What makes your child Menachem? What makes your child so lovable and a tzaddik right now? Exactly. No, you can't. You have no idea. Exactly. You know what? Know what the answer is? The answer is he's your son, and you love him. You know why? Just because. There is no reason. When we look at Hashem within us, that Hashem loves me. You know why He loves me? Lama? Kacha. Lama? Kacha. Why? Just because I love you. Just because I love you. And when we look at ourselves like that, Amalek is Amal Koif. Amalek wants us to be, well, what did you prove? Did you prove why you love me? Did you do anything to show me that you love me? Did you do anything? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing to prove the closest? What did that yid do by walking across my car for me to say, I love you? You know what the answer is? He did nothing. He's my brother. Do you have a reason you love your brother? Do you love your brother? Let's talk about it again. We have to be machazik in siblings. We have to strengthen ourselves in siblings. I'm going to say it again. We have to strengthen ourselves. Call your sister. Call your brother. Call your brother. Call your sister. Check on your sister. Check on your brother. Tell them I'm thinking about you. Daven for your sister. Daven for your brother. In your heart. Don't call your sister. Don't call your brother. Daven for your sister. Daven for your brother. Say inside yourself, don't call your mother. Don't call your father. That's not the point. But that's also a good thing to do. In your heart, send love to your mother. In your heart, send love to your father. Send love to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in your heart. Send love to a Jew who you don't know. Send love to the Torah. Hashem, I want to love the Torah more. Hashem, I want to love Jews more. Hashem, I want to love myself more. Hashem, I want to love my child more. I want to love my child more. I want to be more tuned in to my children, to my wife, to my spouse. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine being in love with your spouse? Could you imagine being more in love with your wife and more in love and more in love and more in love? Could you imagine what that feels like to be married for 30 years, for 40 years, for 50 years, and to be more in love and more in love and more in love? You know what that is? That's a drop in the bucket of the love that Hashem has for me, that I have for myself, for my neshama, that I decided to come down into this world. Each and every one of us chose to come down into this world. Amalek wants one thing. Amalek wants us to judge everything based on koif. Monkey see, monkey do. Copycat, copy other people, follow other people. Don't get in touch with the depth of who you are. How it looks like on the outside, what it looks like. Moshe Rabbeinu in Pnimi. Moshe Rabbeinu is in this parsha even though he's not in the parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu, the Torah, your connection to Shabbos. When a person on a Wednesday thinks about Shabbos, Ka echsav noyam Shabbos, Hayoim yoim Revi b'Shabbos. Shabbos, based, right? Hillel and Shammai, the Gemara says, Hillel and Shammai, every day to think about Shabbos. To think about why do we talk about it so much? Bar Avram ben Julia, the hostages. Why do we talk about it so much? The hostages. Why do I have a picture on the entrance to the Beis Medrash? A picture of the Chavetz Chaim. A picture on my stender of Bar Avram ben Julia. Why? Because I thought about it. I thought about him. Trying to think. I think maybe it was this morning during davening. When I was davening, my mamish tried to tap it. I said, he's 3 hours away from here. He's a yid who's 3 hours. And I said, I want to bring him into my heart. I want to, wherever he is, I want to send him my love. I never met him in my life. You know how powerful that is? You know how powerful that is? What does it say? Loi what? Loi sisna es achicha. Anyone know the pasuk, Rabbi Yoni? Loi sisna achicha what? Bilvavecha. What does that mean? Don't hate your brother in your heart. In your heart, don't hate your brother. Don't hate your brother in your heart. It's in my heart. So if I love my brother, that's why maybe the pshat is, I just thought about it now. V'ahavta l'recha kamoicha. What's v'ahavta l'recha kamoicha? If you hate your friend, then you hate yourself. Because v'ahavta l'recha kamoicha, like you love yourself. And I know I love myself. Everybody loves themselves. Everyone loves themselves. Everyone loves Everyone loves themselves. That's why it's v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, because I love myself. Of course I love myself. It's a natural thing to love yourself, to naturally love yourself. But when a person works on that, and a person acknowledges in his pneumius, in his inside, again, Amalek wants one thing. Amalek wants one thing, for us to not think that what we do matters. To not think that my pneumius makes a difference. It doesn't matter, but did you do it? Did you not do it? Did you accomplish it, or did you not accomplish it? The Rabbanu Shalom tells us no, Rachmana liba bay, which means my inside of my heart, who I am, is the depth of Elokai neshama shenasata bi tahirihi. Could you imagine? Could you imagine the love that Hashem, Menachem, daven for that? That's what I would daven for. It says that you can't daven people in order to daven for the Amid, for the Yom Noraim. It says you have to be a father. You have to have children. Why? Because what does that do? When you understand the rachamim that a father has towards a child, you understand the rachamim for the pneumius, for no reason at all, for no reason at all, for no reason. When you love a little baby, you love a little baby for no reason at all. The baby didn't do anything. The baby didn't accomplish anything. And when we get older, what happens is we become amal kaif. And we think that in order for us to get where we're going to get the love, that we're going to get the love is conditional love. I got to do this, then my father's going to love me. I got to do this, then my mother's going to love me. I got to do this. Right? Why do kids act up in class? Why do kids act up in class and they act a certain way? The reason people act up in class is because they figure out that that's how they're funny. That's how people think they're funny. So they start doing these funny things. They start doing things that people say, oh, this guy's funny. What happens? We're running after love. We're chasing, like I spoke Shalosh Shuddhas, we're chasing the love. We're chasing the love. We're chasing the love. Especially if you grew up with certain demands on you, and it was conditional. Something that you have to be very careful. When you tell your child, clear off the dishes, or you tell your child to do something, and then, I love you. You have to be very, 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 very careful in how you give over your relationship with your children, how you give over your relationship. But a lot of it comes from yourself. And it's very difficult when a person grows up in a home. It is very difficult. When you grow up in a home where there are expectations and there are demands, but you have to do this. And if you do this, then I accept you. If you do this, then I accept you. If I do this, then I love you.
Say please.
Say please, but don't say please so I'll love you.
No, say please.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, you're teaching midas tovas. You're teaching midas tovos. You're teaching your children, you clear off the table, not because I'll love you. You clear off the table because you're helping mommy, because it's a nice thing to do, because you just ate. Not because I'll love you. I love you either way. You go to school, not because then I'll love you. You go to school because I want you to have friends. I want you to learn something. But not if you do something that you're bad, and if you do this, it's called an intrinsic love. But where am I going to get that from? I need to access that within myself. I need to learn to access that within myself. I need to learn also to love myself like a child, like a fresh, newborn child who I love. I love so much. Amalek, remember, Amalek wants you just to copy somebody else and to say, how many guys have had that? Where I'm just doing what I'm doing. That's where it gets difficult when it comes to Yiddishkeit sometimes. A person could be davening, he could be learning, he could be doing everything that he should be doing, but he feels he's empty inside. You know what that's from a little bit? That's a little bit the Amalek. Because I'm doing everything just like a koif, just like a monkey. But inside, that's why the world wants us to be. If you look, I remember I saw once in one of these science books that they had like plants. First they had the rocks, plants, then they had animals. And then on the page of animals, in the middle page, they had monkeys. And in animal page also, they had human beings. Human beings. And monkeys. And then you have what are they called? Homo sapiens, right? Human beings. So the world wants us to be just what? If you ask you ask most of the world, they'll say, we come from monkeys. What's the big deal? That's Amalek. That's Amalek. You're no different. We look like monkeys a little bit. Monkeys also walk like that. What are they saying with that? What's the big deal? The pshat is, there is no pneumius. There is no pneumius. Okay, it happens to be that a monkey also, has to be a dog is a kelev. Dogs, they have dog therapy. That's why a dog is a man's best friend. There's a kelev. It's like a lave. They're able to sense. Horses, animals also. So could you imagine an Adam? Could you imagine an Adam, the emotions, the pneumius of a person? If I love another Jew in my heart, I love Klal Yisrael. You want to be a tzaddik. So to answer Rabbi Lazarus' question, the answer is, all you have to do to be a tzaddik, all you have to do is right now. I don't know if the goal is to be a tzaddik, but if you want to be a tzaddik, all you have to do right now is tap in right now and say, Rabbeinu Shloim, I want to be close to you. So at that moment, you're close to Hashem. Hashem, I want to be close to you. Hashem, I want to be close to the Torah. Automatically, you're close to the Torah. Hashem, I want to be close to davening. You're automatically close to davening. I want to love my wife more. I love my wife more. I want to be there more for my wife. I want to be there more for my father, for my mother. I want to love. I want to love. And we need healing. It's not a stira. We need healing. We need to learn how to heal. We need to learn how to heal. But that's part of it also, to give us that space, to give us that ability to say, I'm not just a monkey. I'm not just someone who does things. I'm someone who's connected in the deepest, 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 deepest way. I'm so connected to Klal Yisrael. I'm so connected to the Jewish people. I'm so connected to tzaddikim, to the tzaddikim. And you got to do it again. Now what happens? You got to do it again. You then got to do it again tonight, later on. You got to do it tomorrow. You have to say, Hashem, I'm sorry that I messed up, or I did this avera. You say, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to do averas. I'm trying to know you. I'm trying to know myself. I'm trying to get to you. I'm trying to be in touch with myself. I think that's the lesson of Moshe Rabbeinu, that he's not in the parsha. Not in the parsha, but it's the silence. I spoke about that, about Yosef on Shabbos a little bit. It's the still waters run deep. You don't have to make so much noise. It's the quiet, deep connection to ourselves. Okay, we could stop over here. If any question, comments on that, please. If I wasn't so clear.
The person,
yes.
The person is not used to the concept of intrinsic love.
Yeah.
Tap into that and give it to themselves and be able to do it.
Yeah. That's a great question. It's a great question, Simcha. It's a great question. Is that we all suffer from that. We all suffer from that. That we forget that we're intrinsically loved. So we have Menachem with his. You're going. So we have Menachem with his baby, and it reminds us. Look at Menachem's glowing. Speak to Menachem. Menachem, what's the intrinsic? You got to go. Go, Menachem. Go take care of your wife. Go take care of your son. Mamish will remember. This was Mamish. The first year that he heard is the love of a child to a father, and a father to a child. Hashem and to us. Right back at you, Menachem. Thank you. Thank you for joining. So to answer your question is that first you have to realize that I might be missing this ability to connect to myself. First I have to realize that. I might be missing this piece.
Something within us had an awakening.
Once I really believe that the first step is to really realize in what areas do I feel that I'm lacking, and I feel this blockage, I would say, if that's the right word. Like where do I feel that I'm chasing Hashem? Where do I feel that I'm chasing this person? I think that it's first identifying. Is it a male thing? Is it from my father? Is it my mother? It's very, very important. My siblings? Is my family like that? Is my culture? That's a start. I think it's a start because what happens is you sort of recognize and you learn yourself. You learn the pneumius of who you are, of like you're a baby. Where that started from? Where did you start from? Where did it all begin from? I think that's very, very, very important. I don't know if we speak about that enough. To speak about really understanding your mother, your father, your siblings, what home you grew up in. What was the home that you grew up in? Lech lecha me'artzecha molat mebeis avicha. To really develop yourself, you have to really get to know yourself more and deeper. I'm telling you, by us going to Auschwitz, I'm 52 years old. It took me 52 years to be able to make contact with a depth of my family that I grew up with, that Auschwitz was like breakfast, lunch, and supper. That's what I grew up with. And I didn't realize how deeply a part of me, of Yoni, me, little Yoni Fischer, little guy, how deep that was. And the more we learn to listen to ourselves and to spend time understanding ourselves and spend time understanding my father, my mother, where am I from? It's not just Stam. And culturally, to understand where you grew up, what country you grew up, what your culture is from. What's your father like? What's your mother like? What are your siblings like? And really from there, to start from there. So someone's going to say, well, once I do that, what do I do next? That's a big avodah, is to do that. The problem is our phones and the world distracts us from that. That's the problem. I think that's a big problem. It distracts us. Mamish distracts us from taking a walk and to listening to my thoughts and listening to myself and holding myself, being there for myself, being there for you, being there for you, being there for yourself. So Simcha's asking, but if I don't know, nobody was there for myself. So I'll tell you something. It's not possible that Hashem, I said this, okay, we'll stop here because I'm going to say